Okay. So this is well shit, this is your segment. So why don't you introduce it for everybody?
Welcome, everyone, to this next installment of Jorrun the Barbarian, a fine literary analysis. I am joined here today with my cohort, Matthew Mahogany,
Swag, bitch.
Sup peeps?
and he will be here to provide moral support and a peanut gallery as we continue along in our hero's journey.
I'm the color commentary for the Jorrun the Barbarian, a fine literary analysis.
Starting into the curse, which is a really wonderful parallel or suspected parallel to Jorn's actual life experiences. So let's get started. The curse. Jorrun is cursed at birth due to the heroic actions of his father and uncle. That he will never be the hero and will always be unlucky and hurt others around him. This is the first complication and contributes to the future rising conflict. And so much of this story seems autobiographical. Does this mean that Jorrun believes that he's a blight upon his family? That his bad luck or inability to read and empathize with others has been a bane on anyone unfortunate enough to be around him? Do you have anything to add there?
Well, I guess there is something that stands out immediately is that it's a total sausage fest with like the whole uncle and dad shit going on.
If you're gonna set up the premise that your hero is cursed by the actions of, like, you know, a family member, like their father, you only need like one in order to accomplish that. So you don't need both Jordan and Conan there unless it was extremely important for Jordan's origin story that he had to have both of them there. It's pretty fucking greedy.
It is pretty greedy for your origin story.
I mean, is there really that large of a difference between these two characters?
There's not.
That you have to list them in there. It's so strange. So part of me feels like that could be a little autobiographical, perhaps.
He had a gay dad.
No.
And he told Jorrun throughout his whole life that his lover was his brother until Jorrun got older, and then he was like, "Son, your uncle is your brother."
You're smoking already.
Oh shit!
God. I don't know if this was recorded, everybody, but before we started,
it was recorded.
I asked Matthew Mahogany.
I like my new name.
Yeah, Matthew, what is this Mahogany? A-list actor.
That's my middle name. What is this? Matthew, what is this? Mahogany. A-list actor at your service.
I asked him not to smoke too much during this just because it bothers my throat a little bit since I'm recovering from a chest cold.
Coronavirus.
I think that perhaps there was some sort of family dynamic with his father and his uncle. Not sure what those could be, but I have a feeling that perhaps he had an uncle who he was very close to and was very much a mentor for him in real life. These very important male figures in his life.
Okay, now, this is just a quick aside. His father is Thundar or Jordan?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I completely fucked that up. Sundar the Barbarian is his
Thundar.
father. No, it's Thundar.
Is a Thundar just a rip-off? No.
Stop. Slow down. No. There's something that mixed up. He's being punished for the actions of his heroic grandfather and uncle, I think. Wait a second. I gotta reread this shit.
Or that's even more nonsensical.
No, I gotta
It's like his own
now.
father didn't even do anything.
No, I gotta look now, because...
Holy shit.
Here.
This is supposed to be a professional operation we're running here.
Yeah, he is the grandson of Jorrun the Barbarian. And Threnody. Threnody is his grandma. Uncle is Conan. Parents are Sundar and Sheena. Okay, and then, all right, so when Jorrun was born, an evil wizard, the most powerful in the world at the time. Stop.
Okay. Okay.
You can't laugh too
I'm
hard.
not laughing. No. Go ahead.
The most powerful in the world at the time decided to get revenge on Jordan and Conan for their destruction of his empire. So it was his grandfather and his uncle. It wasn't even his own father. God damn.
And his own father is literally a generic Conan the Barbarian that was made for kids.
Yes.
That was like basically, let's take the Conan premise and deliver
Each
it
generation
for children.
down the line, degenerates.
Yeah, totally.
This is so sad. All right. Sorry, guys. I had to look that up because I got a little mixed up and I had to question myself because I thought it would have naturally been, his father and his uncle who were in the same, generation. But no, it is his grandfather and his uncle. And it's not even his own father involved in this. Okay. All right. We'll get to the.
Let's keep moving.
Onwards.
Onwards and upwards.
Okay. Another component of Jorrun's perpetual unluckiness is that it is the basis for why he cannot achieve things which people normally acquire through developing skills, learning positive social behaviors, and anything else associated with independent thought and action. This implies that Jorrun has no free will, which is a deflection from recognizing how he has habitually hurt others around him. This curse is a metaphor for Jorrun's inexhaustible ability to victimize himself, even in something written absolutely to be a male power fantasy.
Wow.
Wrap your heads around that, everyone.
That's quite something.
This is supposed to be the throbbing dick fantasy, and he's writing himself to be a little whiny bitch.
A perpetual victim of something, and it's
I'm
beyond
a
his control.
victim.
He can't. I can't even do that with my nose. Actually, like it hurts my ear.
So this is a quote from the story of Jorrun, or Jorrun the Barbarian, that I wanted to highlight here. Jorrun's uncle, Conan, however, couldn't be put off quite so easily. He decided that he would turn the boy into something greater than what fate had decreed for him. Though the curse at times made his life unbearable, he trained in the ways of barbarians until he became a true warrior. Does this sound like our supposed hero pulled himself up by the bootstraps and made himself into the man he became? Or does it rather sound like he expected another strong male role model to do that for him?
Westmost.
Yeah. And shows no pity for others. The second is a lack of a discipline necessary for self-improvement in a character we should expect to change over time. Our hero needs to be flawed to begin with, but by the end of this, Jorrun the Barbarian should be better now than how we found him, if we follow the general archetype Jorrun is using. All right, so
Okay, yeah,
that's the end of the section for the curse.
Okay.
If you want to...
Yeah, I got some shit.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, just a few quick notes that I have off the top of my head here.
Okay. Lay 'em on me.
The curse is obviously a scapegoat for anything that goes wrong with Jorrun.
Likely choices or behaviors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything that goes wrong, I would say almost especially choices and behaviors, is due to this curse. It's really strange that it was his uncle who trained him. And not his father's not in the picture at all. Despite him listing his father, where's his dad at? Where's Thundar at? Thundar's a deadbeat dad.
Yeah, he really is. He's a nobody.
Well, he ain't done shit and he ain't doing shit, Thundar.
Well, in this, it's Sundar.
Oh,
But
yeah,
we know
whatever.
what he's
We're gonna
really
call him
supposed to be.
Thundar, because fuck that Sundar shit. We know who the fuck it is. It's Thundar. You're calling Conan the Barbarian? Why would you, why
Yeah,
bother?
you didn't call him Bronan.
No, you took Jordan the Barbarian, you took Threnody. Why would you change just a couple of
Bronan.
Broned the Barbarian? That joke's probably been made.
It's probably-
I bet if I googled
It's
that,
so dumb.
Hold on. What happens if I Google Bronan the Barbarian? Yeah, look, it already auto-populates. Broforce Wiki is a website written and published by Matt Lawrence from 2010 to 2013 and was one of the founding blogs of the Manosphere, a masculine cultural scene. Wow, how appropriate.
The other thing too regarding that is that if this is also it feels so autobiographical, like he's desperately trying to tell us what his real story is in this. And if any of this rings somewhat true, if there's any sort of subliminal psychological thing that's happening here while he's writing this out, I wonder if he felt like a lack of direction from his father figures in his life, or maybe like just his father and maybe his uncle was more of a father figure. That could be an option. I really don't know that much about Jorrun's family life. I don't know that he really talked about it that much.
He either resents his father for something, and yet his father was around and a part of his life, or his father was not around and his uncle and grandfather sort of took up the male duties in raising a boy child.
Yeah, whatever it is, the way that Jorrun comports himself. Sorry, I had explosive there.
You also
I
stomped.
popped.
You also stomped on my boy.
Do you want to do it again?
No, it won't be
No.
as good. Cool.
I mean, it just seems in general the way that Jorrun has comported himself and behaves, it says a lot about a lack of direction in general from parents. We don't really know how he views his mother. The one time I heard him mention her, it sounded very fond and affectionate to me. And we do know that his parents are together. They haven't split up seemingly. So it's not like his dad like literally abandoned him. It seems like he had a 2-parent household when he was raised.
Do you think that he takes blow-up dolls and steals some of his mom's clothing and puts the clothing on the blow-up dolls and then stabs them and calls them a whore while he's having sex with them?
No, I think he probably does that with his dad. On a more serious note, though, I think that a little bit of where Jorrun first learned to emphasize importance on ethnicity and where people come from is probably from his mother expressing a great amount of pride in where she came from in Portugal. And he probably put a measure of further significance on that as he grew up. I still fully believe that it comes from how pornography is organized and categorized, though, for most. But I think that there's a little bit to do with that. There's a lot of different things we could say about, Jorrun theoretically, and it's all speculative, but we'll move on with the rest of this analysis. On to the quest. While Jorrun is away, another evil wizard curses all the villagers into trees. As he returns, he gets another mentor in the form of the village elder, who instructs him that a genie will be the only way he can transform everyone back into human form. And thus, Jorrun has to journey long and far to accomplish this feat. Along the way, does Jorrun learn an important lesson about not allowing bad luck to rule his life, and that the only bad luck he really suffers is a curse he put upon himself? Does Jorrun change fundamentally in this story to confront any of the evil magic users in a heroic battle of willpower? Does Jorrun summon all of his courage to look into the mirror and face his greatest enemy, himself. No, he does not. Jorrun finds a pixie, which seemingly has nothing to do with genies, and convinces, or in other words, manipulates, her into becoming a magical being reduced into servitude and obedience. He crushes a free entity of the forest, does nothing in return for her favor to him. The only task Jorrun takes upon himself is to wander stupidly and aimlessly across the lands until he literally stumbles across something he could trick and conform to fit his needs. Something incredibly unbecoming of a hero reported to be very stupid and trained to be a true warrior.
He's just a sociopath.
It is. This is like probably the most fucked up bit about this poor pixie. The pixie, now a genie, is forever his in place of a normal romantic partner capable of free will, as the curse prevents him from having a steady girlfriend. The pixie, thus, by Jorrun's own words, has become the easiest magical being to control, which, in other words, is a slave. All right, that is all sorts of fucked up shit there. I don't know. I have looked up a couple different genie mythologies in my understanding of genies, and never once have I come across a fucking pixie being involved with it.
I have a theory as to why there was a pixie that turned into a genie. But I will share that at the end because that's gonna tie in with our finisher here.
Yes. Okay. Do you have anything else to talk about this section?
No, that's all I was gonna say.
Okay.
How many sections do we have left?
I don't know.
What page are we on?
I wrote multiple things in this, so I don't know. We have like a page left, so not very much. Then it goes into Sinbad Speaks.
How much do you have on? Do you have the entire Sinbad Speaks written?
I think so.
How long is that?
It's like a page and a half. It's not very long, just because it's such garbage. And now, onto the personality section. This is a fairly useless section that could have done without, considering how much of Jorrun the Barbarian's personality is known from the previous sections and could have been written into the quest to prove his character's character. Jorrun loves to explain and over-explain and skip past problems and contradictions, and this is no different. His character is apparently validated by fighting evil and making the world a better place. When given the opportunity to save the village by confronting the evil magician, does he do it? Or when he becomes a true warrior, does he hunt down the evil sorcerer who cursed him as a child and find redemption and relief from his curse? No. He finds a pixie and makes her become a genie. He writes that after the fact that Jorrun the Barbarian has sworn to kill the evil wizards, but never does in the original quest that should have ultimately defined and strengthened the character. It was as simple as writing it in place of needing a genie, but instead of choosing the most rational course of action, decides to use his own greedy sexual desires as the solution to the conflict, as implausible and perverse as it is. He gives unnecessary details which we can confirm are probably based on previous YouTube videos and streams, such as the dent on his head from when he was dropped by his mother as a baby. In the Jorrun the Barbarian story, he claims that this is the reason why Jorrun is stupid, but somehow accidentally gives himself higher than normal intelligence after an wish. He still gets really confused despite this, and this is Jorrun once again trying to explain himself to other people as being highly intelligent, and being unable to have empathy with others, as he loves to play confused and stupid when confronted with his harmful behavior. Another quote from the story itself. He loves to charm the ladies and has trouble keeping his mind off sex. In parentheses, barbarian hormones. Why is this even necessary? Is it to understand the character more? No, it's Jorrun trying to explain and excuse his predatory behavior as being part of a heroic and manly barbarian. Another quote. He remembers what it is like to live in a village with no magic and prefers to do things for himself rather than have it handed to him. This is the barbarian way, and it has made him stronger and more powerful mentally than many of the magic users he meets. So, magic users are used a lot in this, and it makes me think it's a metaphor for anybody who's somehow magically better than him, and he's trying to say that he's better than them because he just does everything through hard work. He doesn't use magic. He doesn't cheat.
Yeah, I wish I knew what the magic users was a metaphor for, because they definitely are. He's using magic users in place of something in his real life that he finds confounding or threatening.
Yes. Kind of like women in a way, because women are given the role of a magic user as in being a genie, however, that it's still a fetish for him, so it's like he's turned something threatening to him into something that's incredibly attractive.
Well, maybe the magic users are symbolic of women who are not particularly...
Affected by his charm?
Yes, thank you.
Perhaps. I feel like they fulfill quite a few different roles.
I think the magic users are Chads.
They're Chads. I think that many of them are Chads, or, jealous trolls, and
Yeah, because
all manner of that. And they represent anybody who kind of like poses a difficulty for him or makes him jealous because he feels inferior to them.
Do you think Clobber's a magic user?
Oh yeah, Clobber is definitely some kind of
He's a
evil
fucking
wizard.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
an evil wizard.
Yeah, and Wes would have been an evil wizard at first, but he came off as more of a heroic barbarian.
Yeah.
Again, Jorrun is backtracking in his personality section to make up for the deficiencies in the quest section. The reader literally has not seen a single heroic action or swing of a sword, just him tricking a pixie. This could have been all fixed if he didn't need a genie to belong to him so badly. And Jorrun the Barbarian's dark side, when he is at his lowest point and tried to set fire to the forest? When was this? Hopefully it wasn't during the time all the villagers were turned into trees, which could have even included his family. Was this representative of a tumultuous time of Jorrun's actual life, where he struggled socially and found himself either ostracized or otherwise separated from his friends and family? Did he actually try to commit suicide? We've already found dark and bleak poetry authored by Jorrun. So where does this story end and reality begin?
You know what's fucking surreal is you live for 48 years of your life and like you think you're hot shit, or at least you've convinced yourself that you're hot shit, and like you just go around being an asshole and making people feel bad about themselves, as we've heard. So he's just been a fucking asshole forever, and then one day you wake up and you're a full-blown lolcow, and everybody's making videos about you, and they're like reading your old shitty poetry that was better served in a diary than vomited out onto the World Wide Web, much less showcased on your angel-fired GeoCities website. Bullshit Jorrun the Barbarian story so that you could get in with some role-playing chat and be fucking...
Yeah.
Be all lecherous with the ladies.
Yeah. You know what? the DA page is very similar in that way too, because that's where a lot of that poetry was too that you found.
No, all the poetry I found was on the website.
It was on the Angel Fire.
Yeah, well, he's got
No.
a GeoCities and an Angel.
Okay,
I think there was one of both, and
He linked to the GeoCities on the
some
Angel
shit
Fire.
like that. I forget exactly. Don't quote us.
He did have some poetry on his DA page, though. I remember it from screenshots that were taken of it before he deleted it.
Oh shit! I'll have to read that too then.
I don't know if they got the whole thing or not, but you can see where he's made deviations that were writing. I suspect the reason why he first went to DeviantArt is because he realized there was a community of people there that would draw, and he could get visuals for his fantasy, where as in role-playing, where it's just all text, he doesn't get that necessarily. And while he has a very vivid imagination and high fantasy life that he falls back on, I think that he was really enticed about the ownership of something that he could actually see, which is why we get this collection of genies. I'd love to do another video just talking about the genies on the DA, because that is a whole other shit show.
The artwork is horrific. Not to shit on anyone else other than Jorrun, I'm sorry, but like the artwork is quintessential DeviantArt artwork.
Yeah.
Where it looks like it was done by a 12-year-old in MS Paint, but it's actually like a 35-year-old man dressed like a fox.
I don't want to shit on anybody,
I'm sorry.
who's going to end up, being involved with Jorrun because he's commented on their shit. Like, they didn't ask for him to come on there necessarily.
I'm not shitting on him. I'm not shitting on him.
And I think that most of them are aware of their skill level and how they have to improve, but they're just doing. Stop it.
I have a very negative perception.
I know
of
you
people
do.
in DeviantArt, and I know that's not. I'm not trying to offend any of our listeners.
I'm not trying to shit on anybody who's accidentally featured in here, just because Jorrun asked them to do some drawings and they were duped into doing it because they didn't know what he was like yet. I feel sorry for these. That is very inappropriate, Matthew Mahogany.
I just pulled my dick out.
Jorrun definitely took advantage of people in the DA community, and I would like to talk about that more. And I'm not looking to talk about their skill level because some of them may or may not be aware of it, and it's not the point of the video. But you have to admit, though, to some degree, that artwork is not something you would be able to jerk off to.
No. Not at all.
So I'm just leaving it at that. That most people would not be able to get their rocks off on that or thinking about that.
You would have to be insane, which Jorrun is, but I don't think he's the type of insane that could jerk off to DA quality artwork.
Oh, I think he does.
Oh, so you're saying that you don't think anybody else can jerk off to it, but Jorrun's jerking it to
Yes.
it. Interesting.
Absolutely.
All
right.
My ears are open.
But we're gonna talk about that more later. One last important note. In more intensive searches regarding Jorrun's barbarian character and this Angel Fire site, old web pages of role-playing chat logs were discovered, which we will hopefully be putting on the screen because I have those.
Right about now.
There was an actual web ring called the Alamac Forest, and when cross-referencing search terms, these two chat logs came up, and only these two that I could find. In these chat logs, one of the characters from Jorrun's story, Sinbad Speaks, appears, called Rogue Mage. This name purely as a character would have been unusual, but now under the context of these role-playing chat logs, these stories are continuations of the fantasies he's indulged in with other people in this web ring. It is highly flirtatious and awkwardly sexualized, and it would seem that this is where Jorrun gets most of his humor from. So I know that Sorry Sip of Water has already kind of revealed this information that it was part of a web ring. And that is very much true. Like, this was a whole community of role players together. And there's a lot of different characters, some of which Jorrun has actually written about. So it does kind of explain the context of the story of Jorrun, which was just supposed to be like his origin story for his character and kind of explaining things about himself in a way that he could use in his role playing. We see a lot of repeated references to the forest, the forest, the forest, in the forest, you know? And he's likely thinking of the Alamac Forest in general. Like, all of these things take place inside of their role playing.
That specific chat, yes, they do.
In this grand scheme of things, a lot makes sense when you think about this as for a role playing character.
It's interesting that Jorrun seems to need a community to be inspired or to create around. This is the same as him joining the TCAP community. And
or
just
joining the DA community and whatever community, the fucking improv community of where he lives. I think Jorrun looks for people to be his audience. He needs people to listen to him. And that's what he's looking for. He's desperately looking for social approval. He's very lonely. He likely doesn't have very many close or long-term relationships, friends or romantic, and he's starved for acceptance from others. And he thinks he can find it by going to these communities. And like Bapsby already so poignantly said, he doesn't understand them when he goes into them. And he uses it for his own selfish needs.
Yeah, he uses it as a springboard for his own brand of comedy.
Well, for anything, like, the comedy is social validation. Him doing his role playing with others and utilizing his comedy skills and his flirtatious skills. That's just him looking for approval.
So now another thing that the thing I was going to talk about earlier, but was saving for this portion. The pixie that changes into a genie. Now, I have a theory regarding that. Since it has been revealed that Jorrun the Barbarian is largely based on this role-playing chat that he was a part of, I believe that the pixie, and not only is Jorrun based on this role-playing chat, but it's also semi-autobiographical. I believe that the pixie was probably someone role-playing as a pixie that he convinced to role-play as a genie.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. I have evidence from the research I've also done that Jorrun has convinced women to fulfill his genie fantasies by performing as a genie or identifying as a genie when they hadn't before previously. And he gets off on that kind of behavior. And I think that you're absolutely right that there was somebody who role-played as a pixie, and that represents somebody he has influenced and manipulated into what he wanted.
He genified him.
I think he's genified a number of women in his lives, and some of which who were really unaware of what the fuck was actually going on.
Oh, he is low-key genified.
Oh yeah, and there's some high-key genified stuff.
Oh, there's some blatant genification, and there's some low-key, super low-key genification.
Like, he's towing the line to see how far he can get.
Yeah.
These examples, though, they are real people, and I do not want to, like, expose them in any type of way to this.
We can blur their names on us.
We could blur their names, maybe their face too, while we're
not
at
gonna
it.
find any faces. Unless you're talking about the comedy troupe pictures we found.
No, I'm talking about pictures of women he genified, like, that he is friends with on social media and likely in real life in some cases.
Are those
Like
those aren't in the dump already?
Not all of them. I'll have to go take a look. Some of them might be, some of them might not be. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and I hope that you enjoyed this fine literary analysis brought to you by Adult Girl and
Matthew Mahogany. Matthew. What is it again?
What is this?
Matthew, A-list actor, Matthew, what is this? Mahogany. And also, if you check the video description, we're going to have a PDF of the entire Jorrun the Barbarian, a fine literary analysis with photographs. So if you want to like put that on your Kindle reader or whatever, you can do that, and we're giving it away for free. We're not charging any money for this ebook, or this, more like this what would be a better term for it, this essay.
Position paper, essay, something like that.
Yeah. But
And I plan to make several more installments of analysis. Analysi. I plan to make other installments of Jorrun-related content as well.
I think it'd be kind of cool to go and really dig deep into the forest and see if we can get. I know
it's gone.
Well, I know it's gone, but we have an entire list of everybody's email addresses that belong to it. We could just shotgun out and see if anybody responds and knew Jorrun back in the day.
I think that a lot of those
Is that
emails
stalking?
are old emails that they don't use anymore.
Oh, I bet that.
I
Absolutely.
have an old email from that time. I don't touch.
Was that your davywants2@hotmail.com? Boy.
That's not part of this video. We can't talk about that.
Boy.
Hey, we gotta stop recording.
You buy me stuff?
Come on, we're supposed to be wrapping this up. What are you doing, dude?
It happens, boy.